Can you believe it's been almost a year since Super Mario Odyssey came out? Time is just flying. But fortunate enough for us, Nintendo has continued to add content to keep us interested well after we've 100%ed it. However, to me, even more interesting is looking through concept art for the game and seeing what could have been and what was ultimately scrapped. And there are several pieces shown, but one caught my eye and I knew it was worthy of a video. So take a look at this. It's New Donk City from the game, but it's not. Granted, this world was not scrapped in the slightest, but the idea, the concepts for it certainly evolved drastically during its development. So let's really dissect this image and see just how many things were scrapped. And with the first glance, it's noticeably more colorful than the New York-esque city in the final game. It seems that instead of paying homage to Mario's origin in the Donkey Kong arcade game and having Donkey Kong references sprinkled all over the place, this version of New Donk is sprinkled with 90s Nintendo references. So let's start with this. A giant tower sporting the Super Famicom logo, which is also known as the Super Nintendo here in the States. Or how about this Nintendo 64 building right here on the right? I'd probably have an office space or an apartment right there in that window. Then there's this large building sporting the Mario M, which I am assuming is like a business building, which is weird because Mario's a plumber. Then there's a street sign that's pointing to Moon Tower, which I assume is this. And I'm curious if this is an early version of the Odyssey. The Odyssey, for those who don't know, is the ship that Mario uses from one world to the next. Now, the last two things I find the most fascinating from this piece of art. And it's this. They actually show Mario's workplace. Now, to my knowledge, they haven't shown his plumber shop in any of the games. I could be wrong, but Mario's plumber building would have been in New Donk City, which I think would have been a really cool inclusion and I wish was in the final game. But lastly, if we go back to the original image, you will see that all the people in the city are proportionate to Mario. They're small, squishy, kind of chubby. They're all designed similar to look like him, which is interesting because in the final game we got a very lifelike human counterparts. And while I loved Odyssey, I found it strange that there's these real looking humans next to Mario, who is very cartoon looking, which to me clearly states that Mario was never born or meant to live here. But with the plumber building and all these humans that would have looked like him, well, we would have gotten a very cool glimpse of Mario's life outside of the Mushroom Kingdom. The life before he saved the princess or fought the evil King Koopa. And unfortunately for us, this was all just scrapped. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Scrapped. The question of the day, what other kinds of worlds would you like to see as DLC in Super Mario Odyssey? My vote is definitely for Donkey Kong Country, but that's just me. And a shout out to everyone who answered last week's question with a special highlight for Nick R, Donkey Kong fan, Slayer Jim, and Mr. Bendy the Hedgehog. Well, that's it for today's episode. Guys, if you're not following the Instagram, the Twitter, and the Facebook pages, I highly recommend you do. I frequently update all those. And certainly join this amazing crew, the Crisscross crew, the only crew that matters, on our Discord. Well, with that said, everyone have an amazing day. My name is Chris, and you've just been crisscrossed. Peace out.